being the observer of your thoughts. That's why you can't be your thoughts. You are the observer. That's where you start. You can watch a movie, but you never play those parts. You listen to a song and it can really touch your heart. Keep being the observer. That is your part. When you get a whiff, you'll feel a shift, and you can live. Feel the peace in the space you create, and let your awareness drift.
Welcome to week 3. For the past 2 weeks, we've been working with your mind, learning to observe thoughts, understanding how patterns form. And that's essential work. But here's something most consciousness courses miss. Your mind is not where most of your life actually happens. Think about it. When you're anxious, where do you feel it? In your thoughts or in your chest? When you're in love, is it a cognitive experience or do you feel it in your whole body? When you're making an important decision, do you just think it through or do you check in with how it feels? The body is not just a vehicle that carries your brain around. It's not a meat suit for your consciousness. Your body is part of your consciousness. It's where your experience actually lives. And this week, we're going to explore what I call the energy body, the felt sense of your inner state, the emotional and energetic currents that run through you constantly, mostly below your awareness. Now, I know energy body sounds woo-woo to some of you. Good. Stay skeptical, because everything I'm going to show you today is backed by neuroscience, psychophysiology, and decades of research on the mind-body connection. Heart coherence has been studied for over 30 years at the Heart Math Institute, and trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk has demonstrated how experiences literally reshape both brain and body. This is not metaphysical speculation. This is how you actually function. And learning to work with your energy body, your felt emotional state, is one of the most practical skills you can develop. What is energy? Let me clarify what I mean by energy in practical, non-mystical terms. When I say energy, I'm talking about your inner state, the felt quality of your experience in any given moment, the aliveness or deadness you feel, the openness or contraction, the flow or stuckness. You know this experientially. You've had days where you felt energized, alive, open, everything flowed, and you've had days where you felt depleted, heavy, closed. Everything was effort. That's what I mean by energy, not some mystical force, just the felt quality of being alive in a body. And here's what's crucial to understand. Your energy state determines your experience of reality more than your circumstances do. You want me to say that again? I'll say it differently. Your inner energetic state, how you feel in your body, shapes your perception, your thoughts, your behavior, more than what's actually happening externally. Think about this. You can be in exactly the same situation, same job, same relationship, same bank account, and depending on your inner state, your experience of that situation will be completely different. When your energy is high, open, and flowing, challenges feel manageable. People seem friendly. Possibilities appear everywhere. When your energy is low, contracted, and stuck, the same challenges feel overwhelming. People seem threatening. Everything feels limited. Same external reality, completely different experience. because your inner state colors everything. Now let's get specific about what's actually happening physiologically. Research shows the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And these heart signals significantly affect brain function, influencing emotional processing as well as higher cognitive faculties such as attention, perception, memory, and problem solving. Your heart is not just a pump, it's an information processing center. It has its own nervous system, what neuroscientists call the heart brain, with about 40,000 neurons. And here's what's remarkable. When you experience sustained positive emotions like appreciation, compassion, or love, your heart rhythm becomes coherent, a regular sine wave-like pattern. And when you're stressed, anxious, or frustrated, your heart rhythm becomes chaotic and irregular. This isn't metaphor. This is measurable. You can literally see it on heart rate variability monitors. And when your heart is in a coherent state, it sends coherent signals to your brain. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your emotional regulation improves. Your nervous system calms. Your immune system functions better. Heart coherence leads to less mental and emotional stress and more inner security and stability. This is why ancient wisdom traditions, long before they had EKG machines, all talked about the heart as the seat of wisdom, the center of being. They were describing this actual physiological phenomenon. The body keeps the score. Now, here's where it gets even more practical. Trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk spent decades studying how experiences affect the body, and his findings are crucial for understanding your energy body. When you try to leave trauma behind, our bodies keep us trapped in the past with wordless emotions and feelings. The mind might try to move on, but the body remembers. And this isn't just true for major trauma, it's true for all emotional experience. Every emotion you've ever suppressed, every feeling you've pushed down, every experience you couldn't fully process, it's stored in your body, in your tissues, in your nervous system, in your posture, in your breathing patterns. You know this. You felt it. The tightness in your chest that's been there so long you forgot it was there. The tension in your shoulders that never fully releases. The shallow breathing that's become your norm. That's not random. That's stored emotional energy. And here's the problem. Most people spend their entire lives trying to manage their inner state by controlling their external circumstances. If I just get that job, I'll feel confident. If they just change, I'll feel secure. If I just make enough money, I'll feel safe. But it doesn't work, because the feeling of lack, insecurity, or fear is in your body, in your energy system. Changing external circumstances might give you temporary relief, but the underlying energetic state remains. So the real question becomes, can you change your energy state directly? Can you shift your contraction to openness, from depletion to vitality, from chaos to coherence? The answer is yes, and that's what we're going to explore. All right, here's the most important principle for working with your energy body. What you resist persists. What you allow passes. Most of what we call emotional problems are actually problems of resistance. You feel something uncomfortable, and immediately you contract against it. You don't want to feel it, so you resist it. And that resistance, that's what creates the stuck energy. That's what keeps it trapped in your system. Let me give you a concrete example. You feel anxiety arising. Immediately, a secondary response kicks in. I shouldn't be anxious. What's wrong with me? I need to make this go away. So now you have the original anxiety, plus resistance to the anxiety, plus judgment about having anxiety. That's 3 layers of contraction, and all of them are locked in your body. Now imagine a different response. You feel anxiety arising, and instead of contracting against it, you observe it with curiosity. Okay, there's anxiety. Where do I feel it? What's the actual sensation? Tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, a kind of electrical feeling. You don't try to make it go away. You don't judge it. You just feel it fully. You stay present with it. And here's what happens. When you stop resisting it, it moves. It shifts. It passes. Energy is meant to move. Emotion, if you look at the Latin root, means to move out. Emotion. Energy in motion. The only reason emotional energy gets stuck is because we stop it. We contract against it. We resist it. So how do you actually practice non-resistance? How do you open to your energy rather than contracting against it? The most powerful technique I know comes from the Heart Math Institute research. And here's the practice. Step 1, you shift your attention to your heart. Literally place your hand on your chest, if that helps, and bring your awareness to the area of your heart, not thinking about your heart, actually feeling into that area of your body. Step 2, breathe through your heart. Imagine your heart flowing in and out through your heart area. Breathe a bit deeper than usual, maybe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Smooth, even breaths. In step 3, activate a positive feeling. As you're breathing through your heart, remember a time when you felt genuine appreciation, care, or love. Don't just think about it, actually feel it. Let the feeling generate in your body. This is not positive thinking. This is not affirmations. You're literally changing your heart rhythm pattern, which then changes the signals being sent through your whole system. Heart Math identified a measurable state underlying optimal performance and emotional stability called coherence, a state of synchronization between the heart, brain, emotions, and nervous system. And you can learn to access this state at will. Now, the skeptics among you might be thinking, this sounds like I'm supposed to just generate happy feelings to override negative ones. That's spiritual bypassing, whatever that means. Great observation. Let me clarify. This practice is not about suppressing difficult emotions. It's about creating a coherent baseline state from which you can meet difficult emotions without being overwhelmed by them. When your nervous system is dysregulated, when you're in chaos, you don't have the capacity to process difficult emotions. You're just trying to survive. But when you establish coherence, when your system is regulated, then you have the capacity to feel what you actually feel without it destroying you. Here's a principle that will change how you approach your life. You can't think your way out of a contracted energy state. You have to feel your way out. All the positive affirmations, all the reframing, All the cognitive restructuring in the world won't shift a contracted energy state if you don't address the energy directly. This is why therapy that only works with thoughts has limited effectiveness. This is why you can understand your patterns intellectually, but still feel stuck. Because the energy is in your body, not your mind. So here's what energy management actually looks like. Monitor your state throughout the day. Check in. Is my energy open or contracted? Flowing or stuck? High or depleted? Don't judge it. Whatever you find, just notice it. No story about what it means. Work with it directly. Use breath, movement, heart-centered practices, or simply allowing the feeling to be there fully. Choose actions from an open state when possible. When you're contracted, don't make big decisions. Don't send the email. Don't make a decision. Don't have the conversation. First, shift your state, then act. This doesn't mean you never act from discomfort. Sometimes you must. But when you do, you're conscious of your state, not run by it. All right, let's talk about what might sound like the most woo-woo concept yet. Opening the heart. I'm not talking about being nice or friendly. I'm not talking about emotional vulnerability in the conventional sense. I'm talking about something much more specific. Opening the heart means releasing the protective contraction around your core. Most people walk around with their heart center, their energetic core, in a state of chronic contraction, protected, guarded, defended. And for good reason. You've been hurt, you've experienced rejection, betrayal, loss. At some point, probably in childhood, you learned that closing your heart was safer than keeping it open. So you contracted, and that contraction became your baseline. You forgot you were even doing it. Here's what that contraction costs you. It takes tremendous energy to maintain. It's exhausting to keep your heart closed all day, every day, even if you're not aware you're doing it. It limits your capacity for joy. A closed heart can't fully feel pleasure, gratitude, love, aliveness. You might experience them briefly, but then the protection block kicks back in. It creates a sense of isolation. When your heart is closed, you feel separate, alone, cut off from life, even in a room full of people. And perhaps most importantly, a closed heart is where most anxiety and depression actually live. Think about it. Anxiety is the felt sense of threat when your system is contracted. Depression is the result of chronic energy depletion from maintaining protective contraction. So how do you open? And critically, how do you open without becoming naive or unprotected? This is key. Opening your heart is not the same as being unprotected. It's being protected in a different way. When your heart is closed, you're protected by walls. Nothing gets in, but nothing gets out either. You're safe, but you're dead. You're surviving, not living. When your heart is open, you're protected by awareness. You feel what's happening. You respond consciously. You can close temporarily when needed, but you return to openness as your default. Here's the practice. Notice the contraction throughout your day. Notice when your chest feels tight, when you're holding tension around your heart. Just notice. Breathe into it. Bring your breath to that area. Don't try to force it open. just breathe into the contraction and ask, can I open just 1% more? Not a huge opening, just slightly less contracted than before. Feel what happens. Maybe fear arises, maybe sadness, maybe grief. For all the years you've been closed, let it be there. Opening often releases stored emotion. Hopefully a dam won't burst, but yeah, a little bit at a time. I'll be honest with you, this practice can be intense. When you start to open a heart that's been closed for decades, a lot comes up. Emotions you've been avoiding, vulnerability you're not used to, the rawness of actually feeling life. This is why most people don't do it. It's easier to stay contracted, to stay safe, to keep managing life from behind the walls. But here's what I've learned over 30 years of practice and teaching. The pain of staying closed eventually becomes greater than the pain of opening. And when you finally start to open, when you begin to live from an open heart, everything changes. Not because your circumstances change, but because you're finally present for your life. Here's where this connection to everything will cover in the future weeks about conscious creation and manifestation. You cannot manifest from a closed, contracted state. You can't. You can't. It's energetically impossible. When you're contracted, you're in survival mode. Your whole system is oriented around protection, not creation, around avoiding pain, not moving toward possibility. All the visualization, all the goal setting, all the action taking in the world won't overcome a fundamentally contracted energetic state. This is why the manifestation teachings that focus only on thought don't work. Just think positive, just visualize what you want. But if your energy body is contracted, if your heart is closed, if you're operating from fear and lack, those thoughts are just a thin layer over a very different energetic reality. Manifestation, which we'll explore in depth in coming weeks, happens from fullness, not emptiness, from openness, not contraction, from coherence, not chaos. So the energy work we're doing this week, this is foundational. This is how you create the internal conditions from which conscious creation becomes possible. Let's do some frequently asked questions. I love this part. It takes care of a lot of questions. Frequently asked question number 1 on this particular subject. If I open my heart, won't I just get hurt again? Possibly. Probably even. But here's the question. Are you hurt now? Does being closed actually protect you from pain? In my experience, being closed doesn't prevent pain. It just prevents you from feeling alive. You're still hurt by life's disappointments and rejections, but now you also have the pain of isolation and deadness on top of it. Opening your heart doesn't mean being naive or unprotected. It means you're present enough to feel when something's off, conscious enough to set boundaries, and resilient enough to handle disappointment without closing down completely. Frequently asked question number 2. I don't feel anything when I try these practices. Am I doing it wrong? No. You're just disconnected from your body, which is extremely common. Most people have spent years, maybe decades, living in their heads, cut off from bodily sensation. You can't just flip a switch and suddenly feel everything. You'd probably blow up. This is skill building. Start with what you can feel. Maybe it's just tension or temperature or your breath. That's enough. Sensation will increase as you practice. And sometimes not feeling is actually a protective mechanism. Your system might not feel safe enough yet to let you feel. That's okay. Keep practicing. Keep showing your system it's safe to feel. Frequently asked question number 3. This sounds like I'm supposed to just sit around feeling my feelings all day. How will I do anything else? That's not what I'm suggesting at all. Energy work is not about wallowing in emotions. It's about having enough awareness of your inner state that you can work with it skillfully. Most people are less productive because they're fighting their energy. They're contracted, but forcing themselves to push through, which depletes them even more. When you learn to manage your energy, to shift from contraction to coherence, you actually become more effective, not less. You have more energy available. Your thinking is clearer. Your actions are more aligned. This isn't self-indulgent navel-gazing. It's practical efficiency. Frequently asked question number 4. I tried the heart coherence practice and I felt silly. Is this just not for me? It probably felt silly because it's unfamiliar. We've been trained to think that real work happens in the mind through thinking and analyzing, so practices that involve feeling and energy can seem frivolous or woo-woo. But remember, the heart coherence methods have been validated by over 30 years of research. This isn't New Age nonsense. It's applied psychophysiology. Give it time. Try it when you're alone, when you don't feel self-conscious. The more you practice, the less silly it feels, and the more you'll notice the effects. Frequently asked question number 5. What if I open up and just get overwhelmed by everything I've been suppressing? This is a valid concern, and it can happen. This is why we go slowly. You're not trying to blast open your heart and release decades of suppressed emotion in one session. You're opening gradually, 1% at a time. You're building capacity to feel without being overwhelmed. If you do start to feel overwhelmed, that's information. It means you need support, maybe professional support from a therapist who understands trauma and the body. The goal is not to re-traumatize yourself. It's to gently expand your capacity to be present with what is. Here's what I want you to understand as we close. Your energy state is not something that happens to you. It's something you can learn to work with. Most people are completely at the mercy of their inner state. They wake up anxious and assume they have to be anxious all day. They feel contracted and don't know they can shift it. If you're learning a different way, you're learning to be conscious of your energy, to work with it directly, to shift from contraction to openness, from chaos to coherence. So, this week's assignments: daily energy practice. Morning, 10 minutes of heart coherence practice. Use the guided audio and do this throughout the day. Check in with your energy state hourly. Just notice, open or contracted. And in the evening, 5 minutes of allowing practice. Whatever you're feeling, just let it be there fully. Energy state tracking. In your journal, track your energy levels 3 times per day. Notice what depletes you and what energizes you. In your opening practice, once per day. Practice opening your heart just 1% more. Note what happens, what emotions arise, what resistance shows up. Body sensation mapping. Complete the written exercise in your assignment document. where you map where different emotions live in your body. This week might bring up more than you expect. When you start paying attention to your energy body, you often realize how much you've been suppressing, how contracted you've been living. It's not bad. That's awareness. And awareness is always the first step. Be gentle with yourself. This is deep work. And remember, you're not trying to blast yourself open. This is not a raid. You're gradually expanding your capacity to be present with life. So, see you next week, where we'll begin exploring the nature of the ego and how it keeps you trapped in limitation. Ciao.
Being the observer of your thoughts, that's why you can't be your thoughts. You are the observer, that's where you start. You can watch a movie, but you'll never play those parts. You listen to a song and it can really touch your heart. Keep being the observer, that is your part. When you get a whiff, you'll feel a shift, and you can live. Feel the peace in the space you create, and let your awareness drift. Like waves upon the shore, they come and go. These thoughts arise and then they flow. Step back and watch the mind's sweet show. In stillness lies the deepest truth. Beyond the mind there's living proof that peace resides in letting loose. Just breathe and be, that's all it takes. Watch as each thought gently breaks. In silent wisdom awareness waits. You can watch a movie, but you'll never play those parts. You listen to a song and it can really touch your heart. Keep being the observer.